La la li la ba doo be dee doo she be doo boo ba be doo be ba bo ba 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 ba. Welcome to the Short and Sweet podcast. Ah la la ah ah ooh la 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 dee be be da ha hoo ha da 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 sha doo ba la la da 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 dee doo da. Welcome. I'm not gonna wear these sunglasses for the thing. Don't worry about it. I didn't do a podcast last week. I'm sorry. I hope you forgive me. Also, I have 11% battery left on my iPad, so I hope we make it to the end. On the agenda today, we're going to talk a bit about something which is not at all a social issue. So we're going to break from the mold there. Talk about digital decay, which I will explain in a bit. Going to have music because we always have music. And then we're going to talk about music, not the music that I'm going to play, but we're going to talk about whether music is objectively or subjectively good or bad or whatever, which is an overly talked about thing, probably. I think people have that discussion all the time, but I think it's interesting, and I think that I'm smarter than everyone, so I think that I have a better take on it. Also, I'm a musician. So now that we got the snobbery out of the way, let's carry on. Welcome. If you're on Periscope, you should immediately follow me because we do this every week except for when I have weddings. Actually, I had a wedding we do it almost every week. That's the plan, okay? So we'll do as much as we can. So, follow me on Periscope, follow me on Twitter, at DShortenMusic. And you can tell me if you disagree with me. You can tell me if you agree with me. We want your feedback, and by we, I mean I. There's no one else producing in here. So I mentioned digital decay. This is interesting. Recently, my computer celebrated its 10th birthday. My iMac. Happy birthday, iMac. Wait. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear iMac. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to my iMac. 10 years old, going strong. Hard drive's probably going to fail. I should probably back it up. So digital decay, though, it doesn't actually have to do with files like your hard drive failing and then you can't retrieve your stuff. That does happen. You should try to store things on more than one hard drive if you can. But what I'm actually talking about is actual files just over time becoming corrupt because errors happen in transfer, in copying, and just like physical objects, they don't last forever, as much as we would love that to happen. They don't last forever. So this is interesting, and it's becoming relevant, of course, because if you're my age, you probably are starting to have some files that are approaching, 10 years old, which is pretty old. I definitely have files that old, and they don't last forever. Someone's asking me on Periscope if I'm answering questions. I will try to answer your questions if you ask them. I do not know what Skepta is. So just like a painting or a photo or anything else, the digital files decay, and if you want to not lose all your precious memories, you should take some precautions against that. So one thing that I'm going to start doing once I'm not poor anymore is get several hard drives. Someone is asking me if I like ginger beer. I actually do love ginger beer. It's a delicious drink, especially sometimes with maybe some gin in it. Try it. I recommend it. So if you have say you have a bunch of photos that you really don't want to lose, if you keep them on one drive, you could lose it, if it corrupts itself. Maybe one day you open it because you want to look at it and it's all distorted because some of the bits and bytes got all messed up. And then just like that, you have an irreparably damaged file and you don't have another copy of it. Which is why if you want to take precautions against that, you get several drives, at least 2 obviously, but preferably maybe 3. And collect all the things all the photos, videos, whatever it is that you really don't want to lose, and put them on each of those drives. And then if one of them corrupts, then you still have the other 2, and you copy it again onto the 3rd drive. So you're always going to have 3 drives. And if the hard drive fails, it's the same thing. You get another drive, and you've only lost 1 copy. So that's one way to protect your stuff. I need to start doing that because my files are getting old, and I don't want you to be sad because you had a precious picture and you thought you were going to look at it, but it's been 10 years and you haven't opened it, and then you open it one day and it's a bunch of purple pixels. So yeah, protect your files, guys. Get some drives, spread around your stuff. You need one thing you might want to do is check on them regularly. Don't just leave them there forever, because if they corrupt over time, then they all corrupt. And if you haven't been verifying them, then all the effort you went to copying them onto several drives is for nothing. Man, I get a lot of ginger comments. I love it. You guys just commenting on my hair color. They love it. They want music. We're at 8 minutes. That's okay. Let's do some music then, if they want it so badly. And if they want it so badly, I hope they're following me. And I hope I don't screw this up. Getting my tonalité here. Baby, you wanna be by yourself and no one else, alright? Alright. You wanna install me for some TLC tonight? Tonight. And you want some space, so get out of my face, alright? Alright. But you want you back, get your life on track tonight. Tonight. You're a needy girl, I can tell when you look into big brown eyes. You want my world, but how can I do yours if I can't do mine? I try to change, but somehow I always feel I don't feel the same. It's all about what you want, what you say, how you feel, how you play the game. You're a needy girl, and you want my world. You're a needy girl, you're home alone, you don't answer the phone tonight. But it's like a crime if I don't answer mine tonight. So you found a man and he's more than a friend, alright. But you still call me for some TLC tonight. You're a needy girl, I can tell when I look into your big brown eyes. You want my world, but how can I do yours if I can't do mine? I try to change, but somehow I always feel I don't feel the same. It's all about what you want, what you say, how you feel, how you play the game. You're a needy girl, and you want my world. You're a needy girl, and you want my world. You're a needy girl, and you want my world. You're a needy girl. So, if you know that song, you know I screwed up the lyrics. But I know T-Baby will forgive me. How much do you guys think I practice for these things? Do you think I'm just like every day, every morning, going through the song that I'm gonna do? No. Maybe once I start making money for this, which will probably never happen. So glad T-Baby's joining us today. I'm her number one fan of her being my fan. She's my favorite fan. So of all the people she's a fan of, I'm the number one fan of her being a fan. She says, Dave and P-Thug would approve. Is that their names? Oh my gosh, you know their names. Man, me and T-Baby have pretty similar music tastes. So if you liked that, you should follow me on Periscope and on Twitter at dshortenmusic. What are we at? We're at 13 minutes. I don't even think I'm gonna need 20 minutes, but things always take longer than I think. So we're gonna talk about whether music is objectively or subjectively good or bad, whatever, one of those two. And I feel like we discuss this all the time. I don't think I always have a tendency to want to say objective. Everything is objective. I don't like the idea of things really being subjective, if I'm being completely honest. Someone's asking if I speak Spanish. Sí, hablo español, pero este programa es en inglés. Un día tal vez voy a hacerlo en español, pero no hoy. So I came down with three criteria of what I think music needs in order to be good. One of them is novelty. So it needs to be new in some way. But at the same time, the second criteria is familiarity. It needs to also be familiar in some way. If it's just like completely novel, then it may as well be completely abstract because you won't be able to latch onto anything that you know that you like in order to kind of be acquainted with the things that maybe you are new to you in the piece of art. So novelty, familiarity, and the form of it, which is kind of like the shape. Does it take you on kind of a journey? What kind of emotions does it bring up in you? Things like that. It can't just be so a formless music would maybe just be like for like 3 minutes, and it's just always that. There's no form. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't progress anywhere. Or like a formless melody would just be a drone. It'd be like ba for the whole thing, and it doesn't change. That's formless. So those are my three criteria. I would love it if someone would disagree with me. I need to be disagreed with in order for my opinions to stand scrutiny. So tweet me at DShortenMusic if you disagree with me. I want to give you an example, though, from my life of music I heard that was just completely novel, with no real like the only thing familiar in it was the instruments being used, but the way they were being played was completely out there. You know, I went to this concert. These guys, I don't know what they were called, but their genre that they made up for themselves, they called folk from nowhere. And they asked someone in the audience to kind of guess what that means. And one guy described what they meant very well. He said, well, folk from nowhere would be music from a culture that doesn't exist. And they were like, yeah, exactly. What we try to do is play music and have it not resemble music from anywhere that you could possibly find on the earth. So it's not, there's no Mexican influence, there's no Middle Eastern influence, there's no Oriental influence, nothing North American. Everything is just completely disassociated with all cultures that exist. And for that reason, the music was awful. And I think the only people that enjoyed it were people who pretended to enjoy it because they like to think that they're sophisticated enough to understand this cultureless music. But because there was nothing familiar in it at all, other than the fact that it was like drums, violin, and was it a lute? The guy was playing the lute. You know, other than the fact that the instruments were familiar, there was no melody that you could follow. There was no rhythm that was familiar. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I can get into the groove. Here's the groove. I like the groove. It was just like weird time signatures. Everything was just weird. And I hated it so much, and I was mad that they thought that they qualified as musicians. It actually bothered me. So that's what happens when you have music that's only novel. You can't grab onto anything in it. Since it wasn't inspired on anything, it was crap, T-Baby says. That is exactly what I mean. There was nothing, it doesn't come from anything. It's not like, oh, I'm taking from this, I'm taking from Mozart, I'm taking from this group I like, I'm using motifs. And that's not to say that you can't come up with music from a theory or from a concept. Music can be conceptual. You can say, this doesn't come from a culture per se, but it comes from a concept. Like maybe it comes from math. Maybe you're inspired by something non-musical, and out of that you bring music. And that, I think, works sometimes too. So I wanted to, this is another thing I'm gonna maybe make some people angry with. I'm gonna give you 3 songs that I think are completely overrated despite being really well known. Actually, the first one I don't think anyone's gonna be offended about. Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. Does anyone like that song? Is it just a joke that it's popular? Or that it was popular? It's like the worst song ever. No one who is into rap, I think, would be like, yes, that is excellent flow. And then the bass, like the song, the accompaniment is basically just a ripoff of Under Pressure by Queen. Next is Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke, which I think without the vocals would just sound like one of those songs from a puzzle video game where you have to like build the structure that will allow the mouse to get to the cheese, and it's like it's just like, I think someone had to pay a lot of money for that to go on the radio, because otherwise it never would have. Oh, I didn't have 3, I only had 2, that's all. I don't think you like that. T-Baby says she loves that song. I don't buy it. She doesn't love it. It's so bad. So, glad we had that discussion. T-Baby, you can tweet me if you think that Blurred Lines is amazing, and we'll argue about that, and everyone else too. So thanks for tuning in. Tweet me at DShortenMusic, and we'll see you next week, unless I have a spontaneous wedding.